بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Welcome everyone. مع حضراتكم أسماء جمال، معيد بقسم التمريض الباطني والجراحي. I will talk about lecture entitled Decision Making Methods and Principles under supervision Assistant Professor Dr. حنان سليمان. Outlines, Objectives, Introduction, Definition of Decision Making, Characteristic of Decision Making, Steps of Decision Making Process, Advantage of Decision Making, Principles of Decision Making, How to choose which decision method to use, Decision Making Methods, Summary. Objectives. General Objectives. By the end of this lecture, our colleagues will be able to demonstrate decision-making principles and methods. Specific objectives. Define decision-making. Discuss the characteristics of decision-making. Apply steps of the decision-making process. Evaluate the advantage of decision-making. Demonstrate the principles of decision-making. Analyze principles of decision-making. Analyze decision-making methods. Introduction. Decision-making is one of the most important functions of management. One of the most important functions of a manager is to take decision in the organization. A decision is a course of action, which is consciously choosing from among a set of alternatives to achieve a desired result. It means the decision comes in picture when various alternatives are present. Definition of decision making. Decision making is the process of making choices by identifying a decision, gathering information, and assessing alternative resolution. Characteristic of decision making. Number 1. Goal-oriented. Decision making is the goal-oriented process. Decisions are usually made to achieve some purpose or goal. Number 2. Alternatives. A decision is characteristic by two activities, search and choose. The manager searches for opportunities to arrive at decisions and for alternative solution. It choose lead to decision. Number 3. Analytical intellectual. Decision making isn't a purely intellectual process. It has both the intuitive and deductive logic. It contains conscious and unconscious aspects. Number 4. Dynamic process. Decision making is characteristic as a process rather than as one static entity. Number 5. Human and social process. Decision making is a human and social process involving intellectual abilities, intuition, and judgment. The human as well as social impacts of a decision are usually taken into account while making the choice for several alternatives. Steps of the decision-making process. Number 1. Identify the decision. Number 2. Gather relevant information. Number 3. Identify the alternative. Number 4. Weighing the evidence. Number 5. Choose among the alternative. Number 6. Take action. And finally, review your decision. Advantages of decision making. Gives more information. Increase people's participation. Provides more alternatives. Improves the degree of acceptance and commitment. Improves the quality of a decision. Helps in strengthening the organization. Principles of decision making. Effective decision involves two important aspects: the purpose for which it is intended and the environmental situation in which it is taken. If certain principles are followed for decision making, such multidimensional reactions can mostly be overcome. The principles are stated as following. Principles of decision making. Number 1. Subject matter of decision making. Number 2. Organizational structure. Number 3. Analysis of the objectives, policies. Number 4. Analytical study of the alternative. Number 5. Proper communication. Number 6. Sufficient time. Number 7. Study of the impact of a decision. Number 8. Participation of a decision maker. Number 9. Flexibility of mind. Number 10. Concentration of the chain of action. Number 1. Subject matter of decision making. Decisional matters may be divided into groups consisting of programmed and non-programmed problem. Programmed problem, being of routine nature and repetitive, are easily definable and require simple and easy solution. Decision arrived in such programmed problem has a continuing effect, but in non-programmed problem there is no continuing effect because they are non-repetitive, non-routine, and novel. Every event in such programs require individual attention and analysis, and its decision is to be arrived at according to its special circumstance. Number 2. Organizational structure. The organizational structure having an important bearing on decision making should be readily understood. If the organizational structure is rigid and highly centralized, decision making authority will remain confined to the top management level. On the contrary, if the organizational structure provides scope for adequate delegation and decentralization of authority, decision making will be flexible. Number 3. Analysis of the objectives and policies. Proper analysis of the objective and policies is needed for decision making. The clear definition of objectives and policies is the basis that guides the direction of decision making. Without this basis, decision making will be unproductive. Number 4. Analytical study of the alternatives. For decision making, analytical study of all possible alternatives of a problem with their merits and demerits is essential. This is necessary to make out a correct selection of a decision from among the alternatives. Number 5. Proper communication system. Effective decision making demands a machinery for proper communication of information to all responsibility centers in the organization. Unless this structure is built up, ignorance of decision or ill-informed decision will result in misunderstanding and loss of coordination. Number 6. Sufficient time. Effective decision making requires sufficient time. It is a matter of common experience that is usually helpful to think over various ideas and possibilities of a problem for the purpose of identifying and evaluating it properly. Number 7. Study of the impact of a decision. Decision is intended to be carried out for the realization of the objectives of the organization. A decision in any particular area may react adversely in other areas of the organization. Number 8. Participation of a decision maker. The decision maker shouldn't only be an observer, while others will perform as per his decision. He should also participate in completing the work for which decision was taken by him. This experience will help him in decision-making future. Number 9. Flexibility of mind. This is essential in decision-making because decisions can satisfy everybody. Rigid mental setup of the decision maker may upset the decisions. The flexible mental disposition of the decision makers enables him to change the decision and win over the cooperation of all the diverse groups. Number 10. Concentration of the chain of actions. Decision making also proceeds following the chain of action in different activities. Therefore, before taking a decision, one should consider the chain relation among different activities. When choosing which way to decide, there are 4 questions to ask. Number 1. Who cares? Don't involve people who don't care. Who knows? Don't involve people who can't add value. Number 3, who must agree? Who could block the implementation later on if not a part of the decision process today? Number 4, how many people must be involved? The fewer, the better. Decision-making elements. What? Strategic, tactical, operational. How? Informational based, intuitive. When? Proactive, provocative. Who? Individual, collective. Decision-making methods. Effective group decision-making techniques have become highly important. Group participation often leads to unique ideas that may not have been discovered otherwise. Deciding on a technique that will be appropriate for the issue at hand can be a bit difficult. Decision-making methods. The following 5 methods are worth considering. Number 1, brainstorming sessions. Number 2, the Delphi methods. Number 3, Ben's rapid framework. Number 4, multi-voting decision making. Number 5, the nominal group technique. Method number 1, brainstorming sessions. Brainstorming session is a great decision making technique that doesn't place any undue stress on group participants. In brainstorming, any and all ideas are encouraged, even those that may seem outlandish. During a brainstorming session, the leader of the group will present a problem, after which group member states their opinions fairly. After all ideas have been presented, the group will then discuss each idea and choose the one that suits their purpose best. Method number 2, the Delphi method. This method is perfect for groups that cannot meet at a certain time in a particular place. Using this technique, questionnaires are sent to each member of the group. Since this is an anonymous type of decision making, members typically feel more comfortable offering their honest. A committee of the group collects responses and chooses the best solution over it. Method number 3, Bain's rapid framework. This method works best when used to solve complicated problems that don't need to be solved right away. Each letter in the word rapid defines a role that a committee of a group will hold during the decision-making process. R. Recommended. A. Agree. B. Perform. I. Input. D. Decide. Method number 4, multi-voting decision making. When using a multi-voting decision making method, the group will first need to come up with a list of options to solve a problem. It's okay if the list is a bit lengthy, but it's best to keep it as short as possible. After a list has been established, each member is allowed to vote multiple times depending on the number of items in the list. Method number 5, the nominal group technique. The nominal group decision-making technique provides members with the opportunity to remain anonymous while stating their opinions. The first 10 to 15 minutes of a nominal group meeting is spent allowing members to write their opinions down on a sheet on paper. The opinions are then collected and discussed individually. After decisioning an idea, each member of the group ranks them on a best scale such as 1 to 5 with 5 being highest. After all ideas are ranked, totals for each idea are collected. The idea with the highest total is chosen as the best solution. The best way to come up with a situation is through the use of group decision making. Summary: decision making is an integral component in all managerial functions. There are many popular group discussion making techniques available today. The internal process of decision making is heavily reliant on judgment, professionals' observation, and skills. Thank you.